Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, or whatever the case may be. My name is Marcus, and I am the host of the Black Brazil Today YouTube channel, as well as the blackbraziltoday.com blog, where I analyze Brazil from the perspective of race. So today I want to discuss the memories of a well-known and legendary actress in Brazil. Her name is Zezé Motta. And actually, what I'm talking about in today's video is something that she said several times. I've seen her say it in interviews. I've seen interviews online as well as what she's posted on her Instagram. So this isn't, I'm not just becoming aware of this now. This is actually something that the first time I saw her uh, go back in time to remember this situation was in 2017. I was looking at my old post in my blog and I was wondering why I couldn't find the article. And what happened was that particular article, I never posted it. It was still saved in my draft of the articles I have in my catalog. So I never actually posted it. I have the preview of it. That's again, it's from October of 2017 because of this toilet paper ad that had come out. And I'm going to get into that. I'm not going to focus on that today. I just want to focus on what Zezé Motta talked about and recollecting what was happening in the late 60s in the United States when she traveled to the US. So today's video, legendary actress Zezé Motta remembers her trip to the US in 1969. Black Americans had held their heads high, not like the subservient attitude that I felt in Brazil. I'm going to just, this is probably going to be a short video, but I'm always going to put whatever video I'm doing, I'm going to put it in context. But before I even get into it, definitely like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell. And with that said, I want to get directly into this video for today about Zezé Motta. So this is a more recent picture of Zezé Motta. This is her, I would say, in the late 60s and early 70s. How she's wearing her hair is actually one of the topics that I'm going to be discussing in today's video. Zezé Motta remembered exactly what it was like being a Black Brazilian in the late 60s. Brazil has always enforced a sense of inferiority among its Black citizens ever since, the slavery era. Remember, Brazil was a recipient of 10 to 12 times more enslaved Africans than in the United States. Okay. It was a huge Black population in Brazil. And to keep all of them under control, they had to convince Black people that they were inferior, that they were ugly, that they were stupid. And for the most part, it's worked for a long time. If you talk about just how the masses of Black Brazilians grow up, a lot of famous Black Brazilians have talked about how they grew up with an inferiority complex. Their parents were not prepared to talk about the race issue. When racism came up, the parents were always the first one to deny it. Oh, that's not true. Those people are just stupid. And it just didn't, there was no way to prepare Black Brazilians who would, experience racism in school or just in Brazilian society as a whole, because the society and politicians and the leaders of that country, they successfully, indoctrinated Brazilians to accept their inferior status. Okay. So Zezé Motta made this comparison of just how she felt going to the United States in the middle of, it was a year after Martin Luther King had been assassinated. Malcolm X had been assassinated 4 years previous. I think it was 4 years. Yeah, 4 years. Malcolm was killed in 1965, and just the feeling that Black Americans exuded when she came to the United States in 1969. As I said, Brazil had instilled a sense of Black inferiority, whereas Black people in the United States had experienced the same thing, but through organizing, through Black businesses, Black communities, and the ability to communicate with each other, Black Americans mounted a movement that it's shifted from civil rights to Black power and Black pride, late 60s, early 70s, whereas this happened slightly in Brazil, but it was never anything widespread. Brazil has long had its own Black movements from the time slavery ended up until the first really organized Black movements in the 1930s. But widespread movements of Black pride, Black consciousness, even though it's always been there, it's only been widespread, I would say, in the last 15 to 20 years. And I'd say social media had a lot to do with that. So Zezé Motta is being celebrated today. Well, not just today, but she recently, I think her 80th birthday recently passed. And so people, there's been a lot of television channels and people paying homage to Zezé Motta. She's considered one of the most important actresses, not just black actresses. She's considered one of Brazil's most important actors of any race. Okay, she's been in the game, I'd say, since probably the 1960s or so. I mean, theater, movies, cinema. She has a long resume of everything she's participated in. I actually did two videos on Zezé Motta in the last couple of months. One was talking about, racism in Brazil. The other one was talking about racism in Brazil's advertising industry, which I just did a video talking about Erika Januza, a newer actress now. And interestingly, how this ties in is that Erika Januza also went to the United States. This was like last week or the week before. She was in Miami and she was just blown away with all of the black representation that she saw in advertising, television, and film. So you have actresses from one who started in the 1960s, another that started like in 2012, and their travels to the United States. And here it is, what is that, 40 some years, their experiences are separated, and both of them are still saying the same thing. Look at how Black Americans are proud of themselves. Look at the Black representation you have in the United States. We need that in Brazil. So here it is, between 1969 and 2012. No, let's say, no, 1969 and now 2024, because Erika Januza was just in the United States. I don't know if she's still in Miami now, but she posted a video about it. I posted it a few days ago. So intriguing that, 50 years apart, and both of these women are still talking about the same thing. So Zezé Motta remembered that era when she came in contact with Black Americans. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. The reason why she talked about this in 2017 is because there was a Brazilian brand of toilet paper that produced this toilet paper that was Black. Now, most of the toilet paper that you see on the shelves in any supermarket is going to be white, but they produced a Black toilet paper and they used the slogan, "Black is beautiful." They use that in English because, Brazil is a Portuguese speaking country, but they use the slogan, Black is beautiful, to promote this brand of Black toilet paper. People were offended by that. People looked at it as that's extremely racist to take a slogan that's so empowering for African Americans and also Brazilians, and you're going to put it in toilet paper. I never posted that, but it was in my draft, and I'm gonna just show a little bit about. I was supposed to post that. It's 7 years ago. What they call Orgulho Negro in Brazil, which means Black pride, that's been huge in the last decade. As I said, specifically because of social networks where Black Brazilians have a chance to go online, communicate with each other, and be able to pass on these ideals of how we need to be proud of who we are. The last thing I want to talk about is Black women's hair in the U.S. versus Brazil today. It's intriguing how almost the positions have almost switched, right? But let's get into this for now. I'm going to put this more into context after I talk about what Zezé Motta posted. Now, again, this article, it was taken from 2017. So let me just talk about what she said. Legendary actress Zezé Motta remembers trip to U.S. in 1969. Black Americans held their heads high, not like the subservient attitude that I felt in Brazil. Zezé Motta is speaking not just of herself, but how Black Brazilians themselves felt in the 1960s. You're not supposed to walk around being proud of being Black in Brazil. Most people were denying that they were Black. You had to do something with your hair, either cut it real short or straighten it or wear a wig. You can't walk around with that type of hair, what they call cabelo crespo, kinky curly hair. So the women would either wear a wig or straighten it, and the men would cut their hair very short. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the actor Tony Tornado, who I did a video about, I don't know, I guess it's been a month or two. And he just talked about wearing an afro in the 1970s. This guy was persecuted by Brazil's military dictatorship at the time. Like, Brazilian government saw Tony Tornado as a danger because we can't have this big Black guy walking around with his dark skin and a big afro trying to instill Black pride in other Black Brazilians. So I've already done videos about Tony Tornado and Zezé Motta, but I want to talk a little bit about this piece, what she said in 2017. So she says, I'd just like to clarify what many people still don't know about the importance of the hashtag and the slogan, Black is beautiful. I have the authority to talk about it. I saw it with my own eyes. I know what it was like inside of me. It was 1969. I traveled to the United States with theater director Augusto Boal's group to stage Arena Conta Bolivar. and Arena Conta Zumbi, which means Arena tells the story of Simon Bolivar and tells the story of Zumbi dos Palmares. Zumbi dos Palmares being a 17th century Maroon Society leader in northeastern Brazil. He's considered a legendary figure among the Black Brazilian movement. Okay. We were on the road for 3 months. We also went to Mexico and Peru. I had bought a straight Chanel wig and I performed in it. When we performed in Harlem, a group of Black activists were shocked that I was wearing a wig. It was the height of Black is Beautiful, and we had to maintain the original characteristics of the race. Boal defended me, said I was engaged and everything, being engaged in the Black struggle. That day, I went back to the hotel, took a long shower, and let my hair go back to being natural. You see, in addition to the wig, I was straightening it with a hot comb. That's when I began to accept myself as Black. I went out on the streets of Harlem and noticed that Black Americans walked around with their heads held high. They didn't have the subservient attitude that I felt in Brazil and in myself. This trip was important in making me see my country from the outside. I went back to Brazil and I arrived thinking, now no one can hold me back. That's because as a teenager, I went through the whitening phase, what they call embranquecimento in Brazil, the whitewashing phase. Whitewashing phase being you should want to whiten yourself as much as you can, decrease your Black features, also reproduce and have relationships with whiter people so you can produce whiter children. So she's recognizing how Brazil's ideology of whitening and whitewashing affected her also. My friends would say, your nose is boring, your hair is bad, your ass is big. And then I started not liking anything about myself. I discovered that it was a question of well-resolved self-esteem. For some, it may seem silly, but for me and for thousands of Black women who lived in the 1970s, Black is Beautiful was an extraordinary high. We began to accept ourselves, to empower ourselves. So, very short piece that she posted on her Instagram, but just look at everything that she talked about. She talked about using what they call a pinchy kinchi, which means a hot comb. Not only was she wearing a straight wig, she was straightening her hair underneath that. She came in contact with Black Americans in Harlem, and they looking like, sister, what are you doing wearing that ridiculous wig? It was all fist up at the time, like we are proud of our attributes, right? So this is how she felt. Like as a Black Brazilian, she was taught to walk around with her head down. When she came in contact with Black Americans who were in the middle of Black power, Black pride at the time, they were holding their heads high, demanding their rights. We are beautiful as we are, which has been a widespread sentiment in Brazil for at least the last decade and a half. It's taken a time to reach Brazil on a widespread level. But Zezé Motta has seen it. She's seen it when she went to the United States into the 60s, and she's lived to see a widespread Black pride movement in Brazil going on right now. What else? Let me see. The trip was important in making her see her country from the outside. She understood that Brazil had indoctrinated her to not only seeing herself as inferior, but the indoctrination process that says you should want to whiten yourself and that we don't have racism in Brazil. Running into Black Americans made her discover this. She came back to Brazil with a new attitude. No one can hold me back. She went through a whitening or whitewashing phase when she was a teenager, when she was a young adult. People criticized all of her physical attributes. And coming in contact with Black Americans made her see herself another way. She was ready to go back to Brazil and say, no, I'm happy the way that I am. Okay. So I want to put this a little bit more in context so you can understand what was going on in Brazil versus what's going on in what was going on in the US at the same time. So this is the ad from Personal, a VIP. It's a brand of Brazilian toilet paper. And you see the woman, the actress here. I think she's an actress or a model. And they're promoting they're using the hashtag Black is Beautiful to promote a Black colored toilet paper. So then people were outraged by that. I mean, there was a long post. People were all talking about this on social networks. Like, how dare you use such an important, empowering phrase from Black Americans and use it to promote toilet paper that's Black. So Zezé Motta was actually reacting to this ad. Now, she in the post that I just did, a video where I was reading from that post, she made a reference to, she was in the United States and she was participating in these theater pieces that were being shown in the United States as well as Mexico, Peru, and other countries. So she mentioned this guy named Boal or Bowl. I don't know how you pronounce that. But it says this is an old New York Times article from March 31st, 1970. And it says no director has done more lately to bring modern Latin American theater. No one has done more lately to bring modern Latin American theater to the United States audience than Augusto Boal, a 39-year-old Brazilian playwright whose production of Arena Conchi Bolivar, meaning Arena tells the story of Bolivar. It opened in this particular weekend. Boal and his Arena Theater of Sao Paulo have come to the city with a marvelous musical song and narrated in Spanish, Portuguese, and mockingly accented English. So these are two plays that they were putting on, and Zezé Motta was part of the cast. Again, I want to point out that Zezé Motta, either if she hasn't, she will be turning 80, and she's getting recognized by people all across the country. People in the film and television business are all paying their homages to Zezé Motta. She's one of probably the three most important Black actresses. The other two who have passed on, Leah Garcia, I think she died last year or earlier this year, and Hucha de Souza died a couple of years ago. I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. So these are the iconic actresses, Black actresses in Brazil. So everybody's recognizing the long career of Zezé Motta at the age of 80. Okay. So here's another one. About to turn 80 years old, Zezé Motta is being paid homage on television. She's seen here with Isabel Filarges. She was from the newer generation of Black Brazilian actresses in Brazil. Let me see, what else do we have here? Okay, here we have, so, insiders in Brazilian cinema are paying homage to the 80-year birthday of Zezé Motta. So again, in the generations of Black actresses, Zezé Motta is highly respected among Black Brazilian actresses and just actresses in general as well. Okay, so you can see here the pictures from the plays that she was putting on at the end of the 60s, right? Arena Conta Zumbi. This is Zezé Motta right here, as you can see. Historic photos you see they're all in black and white from that time. This is the Black is Beautiful toilet paper ad that had everybody outraged. The Black is Beautiful advert for toilet paper sparks outrage in Brazil. The black paper and the controversy over the slogan Black is Beautiful. Let me see. Black is Beautiful. It's an old propaganda piece. It showed up, as I said, in a black toilet paper ad that they were using to sell toilet paper. I think it was Atlanta Black Star actually covered this article. Brazilian distributor says it used Black is Beautiful in toilet paper ad for colors, luxury, and refinement. This is the actress Marina Rui Barbosa. And this is the actress who was, in the advertisements. As I said, people were not happy about this ad. So I think it got discontinued. As I said, I had this post in my my catalog, but I never ended up, posting the article. Also, I want to point out Orgulho Negro in Brazil. Okay. Movimento do Orgulho Negro. So the movement of Black Pride. These are Black Brazilian historical figures. This is about the 3rd March of people having pride and having kinky curly hair, called Orgulho Crespo is called. So we see the rise of Black Pride, Orgulho Negro, all over Brazil, and it's been a big thing for a number of years now. This is from the 3rd March of Orgulho Crespo, meaning pride and having kinky curly hair. This is from 2017. It was a big deal. Here's a video, Afro Hair Pride March in Brazil. I actually covered it on my blog as well. This is the March of Kinky Curly Hair. These are all pictures from that march, Dia do Orgulho Crespo, the day of having pride in your kinky curly hair. These are all pictures from these marches. This is something that Black women were promoting for a number of years. So as I've said this in numerous articles and videos, the pride in having kinky curly hair actually spread to Black men as well, but it was Black women who really kicked it off. Where when I first came to Brazil, it wasn't that much of a big thing. But then I'd say within 3 to 4 years of being in Sao Paulo, you could see it in the streets of Sao Paulo that more and more of these Black women were stopped straightening their hair and wearing their natural hair in the streets. These are just some of the pictures you can find online, promoting cabelo crespo, again, kinky curly hair. Now, I spoke about Tony Tornado. This is Tony Tornado. Tony Tornado is like, if I'm not mistaken, he's 91 now, and he lived through all of this as well. He's been persecuted for daring to have pride in being black, putting a black fist in the air, having a big afro in the 1970s. He had run-ins with the Brazilian military dictatorship of the time, who they saw him as being dangerous. They said, no black revolution here. Why Brazil's military government feared soul singer Tony Tornado. He's probably known more as an actor, but in the late 60s, early 70s, he was known for having songs about black pride. You know, some people look at him as the Brazilian James Brown. And I just want to point out the phrase black is beautiful has been used in Brazil in Portuguese, which means negro é lindo. Very popular song by the popular musician Jorge Benjor or Jorge Ben. I think that song is from late 60s, early 70s. A really good song. This article here, negro é lindo, black is beautiful, music as resistance. Okay. So I just wanted to highlight Zezé Motta's memories of the time for Black Americans who this has been a part of our struggle since the late 60s. It's not a big deal. Like, wow, okay, we did this 50 years ago. But the change came down in Brazil a lot later. So this is what we're talking about what's going on in Brazil today. And it's intriguing to look at when you see through the eyes of an actress who's lived through that time from 1969 up into 2024, and what Zezé Motta remembers about her encounters with Black Americans in the 1960s, the late 60s, you know, and obviously the influence that it's had on Black Brazilians. Black Brazilians have looked very much to Black Americans in terms of instilling a sense of pride, recognizing our history and the importance that we have in whatever country that we're from. So anyway, I just wanted to make, you know, to feature this this post that Zezé Motta did 7 years ago, because it still, you know, still remains true today. The last thing I wanted to mention here, there was a video that I did a couple of months ago, and there was a Brazilian journalist who had recently stopped straightening her hair. And in the interview, somebody asked her, it says, well, you know, why is it that you think Black American women who actually had influence on us starting to wear our hair natural, why do you think these days more Black women in the United States are actually wearing, you know, weaves and wigs and such, and Black Brazilian women are more on the natural side? She says, you know, I can't speak on what's going on culturally with the Americans, you know, that's what they're in now, but the natural hair thing has grown in Brazil in recent years. And that's just an intriguing dynamic, because when you look at what people are saying online, a lot of people are saying that the vast majority of Black women in America are wearing either weaves or wigs. And it's like, isn't it intriguing that in Brazil it's going in the opposite direction, where they've taken on Black pride and having pride in wearing their natural hair. In the United States, the majority of Black women are not wearing their natural hair. So it's an intriguing dynamic. So anyway, wanted to know what you thought about today's video. Definitely drop a comment in the comment section. We'll get a conversation started here. You know, like this video, share this video as always. You know, subscribe to the channel if you've seen more than a few videos you thought were intriguing here. Click on the notification bell so that you'll see more videos when I post them. And with that said, going to end this video here. We request that you all come back, check out the next video that I post.